Hello guys, and in today's video we're going to be talking about Jujutsu Kaisen chapter 225. This chapter is pretty interesting and I really want to talk about it. But before that, be sure to like, subscribe, share the video with the rest of your village. The comment section is down below for you to use. Be sure to be respectful though, and yeah, let's get on to the video. So to start off the chapter, we see everybody looking at these TV screens, watching Gojo and Sukuna fight, basically with announcements of Gojo using Limitless to protect himself and Sukuna also using this domain amplification. And Choso being confused, we get into a conversation with Yuta, Hakari, and Kusakabe. Yuta starts to talk about how in Mekamaru's footage he saw two special grades, Hanami and Jogo, using the same method Sukuna is using to counter Limitless, which is true. If you run it back to Shibuya, you're gonna see that these two came in on Gojo and some crazy stuff was going on, but they got packed up later on. Hakari starts to have some sort of confusion with Kusakabe giving us some information on this topic. He starts to say it's a more refined version of a simple domain. By sheathing yourself in a domain without imbuing your own curse technique, you allow your opponent's technique to flow into the empty space, thereby neutralizing it. And what is basically being said here is upgraded simple domain, which is pretty cool. Kusakabe though doesn't have a domain amplification, even though he's this whole simple domain teacher, which is pretty interesting that he can't reach that for some reason. And as we keep reading, Higuruma starts to talk about the retaining of the information that he's having from everybody talking. And all I gotta say is, Higuruma, why are you here? I don't understand why you're here. Yo, I can't give y'all any type of explanation. This dude just be popping up even though I love his character. Why you here, my dude? Then Useless Angel comes into the convo to say the cons of domain amplification. Being unable to use your innate curse technique, and Sukuna isn't out of that rule either. But if he got plans to use something else other than domain amplification, Gojo's gonna get packed up, which is pretty interesting to say, because innate curse techniques can't simultaneously be used with domain amplification is kind of wild. So you just gotta work with what you have in that sense, which is pretty interesting to hear. Panda starts to say, is Sukuna not using a curse technique against Gojo then? Which is a pretty good question, which gets put to the side to a conversation with Miwa talking about why doesn't Sukuna pull out his domain, because Gojo's technique might be unusable if Sukuna fired one off, which is pretty interesting to hear. Then Kirara cuts into the convo to say, yo, the battle would have already ended, with Miwa saying, ain't that a good thing, with Kirara running it back with Yuji coming in to spread some information after Kirara talks about the sure hit stuff when it comes to domains canceling out techniques. He starts to say Gojo and him were in the middle of a fight with a cursed spirit that put out his domain, which is true. If you go back to episode 7 of the anime, that's where you'll find the information. The anime is also where I started Jujutsu Kaisen. All the anime to manga readers, comment down below if you want to. And as we keep reading, we see a convo between Ui, Shoko, and Choso. Ui starts to pose the question of Sukuna not knowing if he's gonna win a domain battle against our homie Gojo, with Shoko stepping in to say Gojo would have already pulled out the domain, because it wouldn't make sense due to his personality and the 6 eyes that he has. He wouldn't miss if Sukuna was about to pull one out either, because with Gojo, the 6 eyes is an information type of thing. So Gojo's not gonna miss that. Then Choso poses the question of what if their domains don't clash because of the info Yuji and Inumaki gave him about Sukuna's barrierless domain. That statement made everyone shocked. I'ma say this right now, this is where I ran just a teeny bit. Didn't Yuji divulge this info during the time skip training and conversation, and ability almost reveals that got cut away that we didn't get to see? L on Yuji and Inumaki and the writing of the whole time skip to me, because it's like, are you serious? Why is everyone shocked by this? So there's no preparations? Why is everyone shocked? Why is everyone just learning this information? Going away from that, we see that Kusakabe gives a demonstration on what a barrierless domain is. Asking for a water from Miwa, getting thrown a water bottle, throwing it back to say, that's not what I asked you. I asked you for a water. With Miwa dumping it on his head for some reason. Mei starts to say that's what a barrierless domain is, with more explanations. Maki joins into the convo, getting her little 2 cents about something, while simultaneously saying something about Megami not having a barrier to his domain either. To Kusakabe explaining to her, I heard about that before the grade promotion assessment. Still, to do that, he needs buildings and existing barriers and enclosed spaces for his domain. That's small potatoes compared to what's going on. Yo, Sukuna's built different. That's the only text that should be there. Sukuna's built different. Choso starts to talk about how Kenny has no barrier to his nasty ass domain either. Choso starts to get into like the nitty gritty of that information also, with him saying we had planned for Tsukumo to counter his domain expansion with a simple domain while Tengen dismantled it from the outside. The simple domain was torn apart in the blink of an eye, but if she had expanded her own domain, with Mei coming into convo saying it wouldn't have been a true domain battle. In that circumstance, you needed also to take into account who the domain's exterior belonged to. Though perhaps if she had expanded her own domain, there may have been a battle for Yuki-san's sure hit effect. With Miwa being confused and asking questions, but what exactly would clash? Mei says who knows. Isn't it literally against the sure hit effect? Given that the sure hit effect is imbued within the barrier itself, it can only clash with another barrier. So what I'm hearing is barriers can only clash with barriers. Is my interpretation of what is going on. I want y'all's interpretation too in the comment section down below if you got more info on this or more theories to bring up. And as we keep reading, we see Ino, Inumaki, and Kashimo start to talk to each other. Ino starts to say everyone's having this casual conversation about domains. Doesn't that make you lose a lot of curse energy after using it? With Inumaki coming in to say, yo, Gojo built different, bruh. With Ino going in to say that build different part comes from the fact that he consumes and replenishes curse energy over time very differently. But using a domain consecutively is very wild. For Kashimo to come into the conversation is also pretty wild, with him saying how godly Sukuna is, turning on and off most of his attacks, like turning on the amplification to turn on the innate techniques on a dime. So it's like Sukuna's not going to have none of those setbacks. If Gojo didn't have those 6 eyes though, Sukuna would have already won due to efficiency and utilizing his curse energy, is what Kashimo's saying, cause Sukuna built different too. Then Yuta comes into the conversation, say more about how Gojo's built different and how Sukuna's built different, saying that their curse energy ain't even a con in this domain battle. With Momo coming in to say, yo, do you even think Gojo and Sukuna might even know what's gonna happen if their domains get pulled out? With Higuruma saying, hey, here it comes. Right in the middle of this talk about domains, Sukuna and Gojo pull out their domain expansions. Nigga, this is wild. With a narration pulling up to tell us that it's even, and Gojo's barriers being used as a surrounding for them. The two sure hits have a guarantee and for sure overlap to cancel each other out as they expand on each other. If either one of them sustains damage to cause a collapse on the domain, the sure hit will put it on blast for both of them. That is a shock for everybody that this domain stuff is happening right in the middle of this conversation. But another narration pops up talking about how Sukuna's effective range of domain reaches outside of the barriers of Gojo. Yuji, even knowing what's about to happen, what's about to occur, Gojo's barrier breaks, Malevolent Shrine is still there, with Sukuna standing smiling, with Gojo looking shocked to get cut right after. End of chapter. The barrier of the strongest shattered, his savage blade breaks the unbreakable. Now this is a really good chapter in my opinion in terms of discussion between characters, because I wanted to know how a lot of these characters interact with each other. That was a big thing that I wanted to know about, and we got that from this chapter. And that's all I really gotta say. This is a pretty good chapter. Videos are going to be coming out about different topics of Jujutsu Kaisen and other mangas, so be sure to look out for those. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, subscribe, share the video with the rest of your videos in the comment section down below for you to use. Be sure to be respectful though, and yeah, I am out.